Om apavitra pavitro va sarva avastang gatopi va yasmaret pundarika akshang abhyaya abhyantara suchihi. Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. Mukam karoti vachalang pangung lang hayate girim. Yat kripatamahang vande paramananda madhavam. Yat kripatamahang vande Sri Gurung dinataranam. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Militang Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gaudavani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Trinadapi Sunichena Tarar Iva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Iva Kivalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatir Anyata. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahe Anya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahe Anya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahe Anya. Welcome everybody to the Radha-Raman Vedic Temple. My name is Nirantara Dasa, initiated disciple of the ISKCON founder Acharya in April of 1974, who gave me this name, Nirantara Dasa. Yesterday, we celebrated the most auspicious day, Radha Ashtami, the appearance day of Srimati Radharani. In one of my most favorite books, the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is quite a lot of information about Radha-tattva. And I have selected for this evening a short section found in the Adi Lila, chapter 4. These are the realizations and understandings of the author, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He gives a nice understanding, synopsis of Srimati Radha-tattva by quoting a verse which we will come to. But before I continue, there is one thing that I feel compelled to speak. Because for the past year, I have been studying and recording the Chaitanya Charitamrita in different sections. And just this past week, I read something both stated by the author and also reiterated by my spiritual master. That in this age of Kali, if you think that you will achieve perfection simply by worshiping Radha and Krishna, no, you will not. And if you think that I will simply worship Lord Chaitanya and achieve perfection, no. Both Krishnadas Kaviraj and Srila Prabhupada both emphasize that in this age of Kali, you need both. You need to understand and worship, as I said, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahe Anya. Lord Chaitanya is the combined form of Radha and Krishna. So, the goal is to achieve love of God, love of Krishna, Krishna Prema. But both have to be worshipped together. Here in this temple, we do that. We have small deities of Chaitanya and Nityananda. And we have large deities of Radha and Krishna. And because both are being worshipped simultaneous, our process is perfect. Because we are following parampara. So with that as my preface, I will ask you for your indulgence to please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I entitled tonight's lecture, Radha-tattva, the truth of Srimati Radharani. Krishnadas Kaviraj, he writes as follows: the beloved consorts of Lord Krishna are of three kinds. One, Lakshmi, the goddesses of fortune. Number two, the queens of Dwaraka. And number three, the Gopi milkmaids of Vraja. They are the foremost of all. But all these consorts all proceed from Radhika. So that's the first point Krishnadas is making. Then he says, just as the fountainhead, Krishna, is the cause of all other incarnations, so Sri Radha is the cause of all the consorts. Now, when he said here, just as Krishna is the cause of all other incarnations, this is the conclusion of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He's not just making that up. The whole Srimad Bhagavatam can be summarized in one line. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Indeed, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, a whole chapter is dedicated to this point, that Krishna is the origin of all other incarnations. For instance, in the famous Dasha Avatar Stotram, where Jayadeva Goswami speaks and preaches and sings about different 10 incarnations, but in each line, Keshavadrita, Keshava, each time, for each verse, indicating that he understood that all the incarnations, they are found in Krishna. Same thing is said by Lord Brahma, opening statement of his 5th chapter of the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Sachid Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna, Govinda, Krishna, he has a transcendental body that does not deteriorate. And that body of Krishna, who he is one with, is full of knowledge and bliss and eternality. Then it says that this Govinda, Krishna, has no origin other than himself. Sarva Karana Karanam. All subsequent causes were first initiated by Govinda. Krishnadas Kaviraj continues. The goddesses of fortune, Lakshmi, are partial manifestations of Srimati Radhika, and the queens of Dwaraka are reflections of Radha's image. The gopis, the Vraja Devis, have diverse bodily features. They are Radha's expansions and the instruments for expanding rasa. So just as Krishna has so many incarnations, Radharani is not to be outdone. She is producing, expanding these different consorts. Krishnadas explains, for without many consorts, there is not such exaltation in rasa. Therefore, there are many manifestations of Radharani to assist in Krishna's pastimes. Among them are various groups of consorts in Vraja who have varieties of sentiments and mellows. They help Lord Krishna taste all the sweetness of the rasa dance and other pastimes. Radha is the one who gives pleasure to Govinda. And Radha is also the enchantress of Govinda. Radha is the be-all and end-all of Govinda. And Radha is the Shiromani, crest jewel of all of Krishna's consorts. Now comes the shloka. This is taken from the Brihad Gautamiya Tantra. This one verse, if it is digested properly, you will understand Radha-tattva. Devi Krishna Mai Prokta Radhika Pada Devata Sarva Lakshmi Mai Sarva Kanti Sammohini Para. Let's look at these words individually, and Krishnadas Kaviraj will also give his explanation. Here are Prabhupada's word-for-word synonyms. Please repeat. Devi, who shines brilliantly. Krishna Mai, non-different from Lord Krishna. Prokta, called. Radhika, Srimati Radharani. Para Devata, most worshipable. Sarva Lakshmi Mai, presiding over all the Lakshmi goddesses of fortune. Sarva Kanti, in whom all splendor exists. Some Mohini, whose character completely bewilders Lord Krishna. Para, the superior energy. So that last word, para, that word appears in chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna defines para and apara energies. So the apara energy is the material, illusory, temporarily manifested eternal energy of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Binya Ashtada. This material energy can be analyzed into 8 different topics. Bhumir apannalo vayu kang mano buddhya evacha ahankara iti yang me binna prakritir ashtada. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are the 8 separated energies. Apara, material. material energies. But then in the very next verse, on the 7th chapter, Krishna points out that there is another superior energy, para. And Krishna says, we, the living entity, we belong to that para, superior energy. Because the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita, that if you read chapter 2, you would understand, we are not the material body and mind. Krishna's beginning lesson of transcendental knowledge, you are soul, Atma, spiritual, the para. But this para energy is ultimately represented by Srimati Radha-tattva. Here is Prabhupada's translation to that verse of the Brihad Gautamiya Tantra. The transcendental goddess, Srimati Radharani, is the direct counterpart of Lord Sri Krishna. Radha is the central figure for all the goddesses of fortune. Radha possesses all the attractiveness to attract the all-attractive personality of Godhead. Radha is the primeval, internal potency of Krishna. So this concept, the very definition of the word Krishna, means all attractive. But here the information is given. Who is there that can attract the all attractive? That is Radharani. Therefore, you know by this word, Madan Mohani. Madana, Krishna is Madan, Mohan. But Radha is Madana Mohan Mohini. As it says here, it says, some Mohini, the word was used. Some means complete, full. Mohini, bewildered. Just like you know the story of Mohini Murti. She even bewildered Mahadev. Yes, there is that story in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, after the churning of the ocean of milk. Very interesting. But Radharani is some Mohini. She is able to bewilder. Now, we have read so many times Krishna is Ajita, unconquerable. Not in front of Radharani. Before I get further, let me tell you one story. One time, Radha was with the gopis having pastimes, and Radha wanted to hide from the gopis. So he hid himself in some bushes. And the gopis came like a flank of soldiers, searching. And they could see that Krishna was in the bushes. So what did Krishna do? He manifested 4 arms as Narayan. And the gopis immediately, their mood changed. When they saw Narayan, Om Namo Narayanaya, the whole mood changed. With Krishna, it was one of loving, laughing, and so many different amorous. But in front of Krishna, looking like Narayan, the whole mood changed. So the gopis, they offered their respects to Lord Narayan and then said, "Dear Lord Narayan, do you know where Krishna is? We're looking for Krishna." They were not so much interested in Narayan. No, they wanted Krishna. So Krishna was manifesting 4 arms, hiding. Then Radha-tattva came. And when Radha-tattva came, the extra 2 arms were starting. He couldn't maintain it. And he had to reveal himself. It's not Narayan, It's Krishna. That shows you how powerful, how uniquely special is Radharani. In front of all the other gopis, Krishna could hide and pretend, I am Narayan, but not in front of Radha. He tried his best to keep up those 2 extra arms, but he couldn't do it. So now Krishna Das Kaviraj will give his purport to this verse. This verse is so nice, I want to chant it again. It's one of my favorite verses. Devi Krishna mi prokta Radhika paradevata Sarava Lakshmi Mayi Sarava Kanti Sam Mohini Para. So now Krishnadas Kaviraj will explain each word. Krishnadas says, Devi, the word Devi means resplendent and most beautiful. Or else it can mean the lovely abode of the worship and love sports of Lord Krishna. Here in the material world, today was Sunday, so many sporting events took place. Right? Indian people like cricket and soccer, right? I remember one time I was in South India and there was a cricket match, and the host I was staying, the TV was on the whole day because the cricket match goes on for hours and hours, right? Yeah, all day. He had the TV on all day. I said, wow, you love your cricket. But here, love sports. This is how Radha and the gopis behave. Love sports. The word Krishna Mayi means one who's within and without our Lord Krishna. Radha sees Lord Krishna wherever Radha casts her glance. There are other descriptions that when Krishna is not present before Radha and she looks over the land of Braja, everything reminds her of Krishna, especially the tamal tree, because of its dark color. Indeed, there's one pastime where Radha is embracing a tamal tree out of ecstatic love, madness, transcendental madness. And there are other descriptions that when Radharani was discussing with the bumblebee, when Uddhava came to read the message from Krishna, it was admitted by Radharani that we should stop talking about this Krishna. Because the more we talk about this Krishna, we become more unhappy. Let's stop talking about Krishna. Talk about anything except Krishna. And then in the next breath, Radha said, but the problem is, even I try to forget Krishna, I cannot. She's addicted to Krishna. She cannot. As it says here, wherever she casts her glance, she sees Krishna. Or Krishna Mai means that Radha is identical with Lord Krishna, for Radha embodies the mellows of love. The energy of Lord Krishna is identical with Krishna. I've given this example. You have a flame, right? As soon as you have a flame, you have 2 energies, heat and light. And you cannot separate. They exist simultaneously. Krishna is the flame, Radharani is the energies, the heat and light. They are one and at the same time different. Achintya, Veda, Abeda. Simultaneously one and different. Krishna Mai thus has 2 different imports. First, A person who always thinks of Krishna both within and without, and who always remembers only Krishna wherever one goes or wherever one sees, is called Krishnamayi. Also, since Krishna's personality is full of love, Krishna's loving potency, Radharani, being non-different from Krishna, is called Krishnamayi. Radha's worship, Aradhana, consists of fulfilling the desires of Lord Krishna. So this is something some people have a problem. I've come across this in my 40 years of preaching, that people, when they try to understand God, sometimes they cannot grasp the idea, the concept, that God could have a desire of his own, or that God is a person. The tendency is to think of God as something impersonal. But when you come and understand Gita and Bhagavatam, you get, and especially if you study Prabhupada's teachings, you will become completely confident and aware of the conclusion that God is Purusha Uttama, the supreme transcendental person. That means he has feelings, he has desires. So we do the arti every time we come. Arti is there after the lecture, after the japa. We are worshiping Radha and Krishna and all the different deities as we should. But Radharani's worship is a completely different thing. What's her worship? If Krishna wants something, boom, Radha manifests it. For instance, I have a very, very loving wife. I will say to my wife, "Oh Devi, could we have pancakes?" So she has to get the flour, get all the ingredients. Could take a half an hour. Or, if you want to make samosas, I'm not talking about the frozen ones I'm talking about real samosa. Okay? Not the Pop-Tarts. Real samosa. That's a little bit of endeavor. Or, huh?
Even half a day.
Yeah. Or if you want to make gulab jamun, rasgulla.
All day.
But if Krishna says, rasgulla, boom, Radha comes right there. No wait. As soon as he thinks it, boom. Wouldn't you love to be Krishna? Sorry, the job is taken. No applications being fulfilled. So that's her worship. Therefore, the Puranas call her Radhika. Everybody say, Radhika. This word Radha is derived from the root Sanskrit word Aradhana, which means worship. That personality who excels all in worshiping Krishna may therefore be called Radhika, the greatest servitor. So, Krishnadas Kaviraj will now give as his evidence, because the way Lord Chaitanya taught by his example, and his followers also, if they say something, they have to give a Vedic shloka reference. They can't just say things. They have to back it up by scriptural reference. So, it may be curious, but the word Radha does not appear in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the only place where this word Radha. It happens in the 5 chapters of the Rasa Leela, when in the beginning Krishna was dancing with all the gopis were feeling so happy and proud, they started to think, oh, we are special. And when Krishna detected that pride, he disappeared. And where did he disappear? Radha. took him deeper into the forest. So when Krishna disappeared, this verse appears. Anayaradito nunang Bhagavan Harir Ishwara Yano Vihaya Govinda Pritu Yam Anayad Raha. So the gopis then said, oh, truly the personality of Godhead has been worshipped by her. Her meaning that gopi that Krishna left with and left all the other gopis. Her name is not directly stated, but it's implied in this word, anyaradito. Lord Govinda, being pleased, has brought her to a lonely spot, leaving us gopis all behind. So the gopis all agreed, that gopi that Krishna left with, leaving us behind, she must have worshipped Krishna better than us. Therefore, the word, everybody say, Radha. Radha. Therefore, Radha is Parama Devata, the supreme goddess. So you know, there are so many hundreds and hundreds of goddesses. But Radha is Parama Devata, the supreme. And Radha is worshipable for everyone. I love that. Everyone can worship Radha. Of course, I already mentioned, you have to do it through Lord Chaitanya. But there is a way. She is the protectress of all. And Radha is the mother of the entire universe. The word Sarva Lakshmi means that Radha is the original source of all the Lakshmi goddesses of fortune. Or Sarva Lakshmi indicates that Radha fully represents the 6 opulences of Krishna. I mentioned that practically, I think, in my last class. Aishvarasya samagrasya viryasya yashasa sriya Jnana vairagyos chaiva shanang bhaga itingana. This is a verse by Parashara Muni, the father of Vyasadeva. He lists 6 opulences. They come in pairs. Beauty, wealth, strength and fame, knowledge, renunciation. Now, what makes Krishna the Godhead is he has all the opulences simultaneously to an unlimited degree. That's why you and I, don't get offended, you're not God. You may say, oh, I am Mr. What's his Tesla? What's that guy? Huh? And who's the richest guy in India? Okay. But does he have all beauty? No. Okay. Is he all powerful? Can he lift Govardhan Hill? Oh, okay. So I may have one little opulence, or you may have an opulence, or you might have 2, 3, you might. Say you have all 6 opulences. But do you have them unlimited? No, you don't. That's Krishna. That's the Godhead. And it says here, Radharani fully represents these opulences of Krishna because they're feminine. Radharani is the female, feminine counterpart of the Absolute Truth. Therefore, Radha is the supreme energy of Lord Krishna. The word Sarvakanti indicates that all beauty and luster rest in Radha's transcendental body. All the Lakshmis derive their beauty from Radha. And there are other quotes I have come across where it says that all the wives of the demigods, they follow the, how would we say? They follow how Radharani dresses. They follow her example. The word Kanti may also mean all the desires of Lord Krishna. All the desires of Lord Krishna rest in Srimati Radharani. That's love. Prabhupada told us that love can never be broken. Just like Sita Ram. Sita Ram, they were separated for some time, but the love never broke. Ravana tried time and time again. He threatened Sita, if you don't submit to me voluntarily, I'm going to chop you up and eat you for my breakfast. But she could not give up her love for Ram. Not possible. That kind of love, transcendental love, can never be broken. Srimati Radhika fulfills all the desires of Lord Krishna. This is the meaning of Sarvakanti. Lord Krishna enchants the whole world, but Radha enchants even Krishna. Therefore, Radha is the supreme goddess of all. Sri Radha is the full power, Shakti, and Lord Krishna is the possessor of that full power, Shaktiman. The two are not different, as evidenced from the revealed scriptures. They are indeed the same, just as musk and its scent are inseparable, or as fire and its heat are non-different. Thus, Radha and Krishna are one, yet they have taken two forms to enjoy the mellows of pastimes. To promulgate prema bhakti, devotional service in love of Godhead, Krishna appeared 500 years ago as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with the mood and complexion of Srimati Radha Thakurani. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavana Bolo Jaya Radhe Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavana Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohana Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Sri Radhe Bolo Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Sri Krishna, Jaya. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha-Raman Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya. Om Tat Sat.